Okay, hello. We are talking about the newest One Piece chapter 1146. I can no longer remember what the chapter numbers are each week, with something that used to just being rain. This is a stern silence. I really liked this chapter. It was, very limited in content, but I really liked it because it was so focused and it gave every Straw Hat that it showed something to do in time to shine, and it showed them like collaborating and fighting and like in a battle and being you know fairly formidable, and I really liked that. I liked seeing like these, they're not the top tier Straws. You got Jinbei, Nami, Brook, and Usopp, and I really like that. I like seeing them collaborate to take on this threat. We didn't get a lot of that stuff, and I feel like in a while. So it's cool to see like them working together in a fight context, and that's the majority of this chapter. So there's not much, super much to say, but I'll still go into see because there are a few points of note here, as I scroll through. But it seems this like a lot of people are saying Gunko might be a more sympathetic character and might you know I just totally lost my train of thought. Might eventually defect against the government, but it seems like she's pretty firm. um, yeah, we get like one shot of Frankie taking down one of the monsters, and like Bonnie and Vegapunk just cheering. Yeah, so it's just like them collaborating in the fight and like seeing what the threat. Yeah, and she's like, "That's the world was simply supposed to vanish one day. That's how it's supposed to go." So it's like it seems like all of the gods' knights and maybe like I don't know if this applies to all of the celestial dragons as a whole, but definitely the gods' knights know about Emu and the flooding plan. And it seems like based on their abilities and powers, they're like specifically chosen and interacted with and like given abilities by Emu. I would imagine. It seems like they knew about the flooding thing and they're like, oh, totally on board with it. And this is like some humans, essentially some big mouths, made sure the entire world would know. And it shows. I love like Clover, Olvia, and Vegapunk there. I love callbacks to them always. But yeah, it seems like the what happens is that no matter the injury, it seems Gunko can regenerate, and that seems to be a God's Night thing, like probably from Emu granting them some form of immortality. Um, and so I think the big stuff is all the stuff like toward the end of the chapter talking about how well, first of all, we got I will never think that Saul is gonna die anymore because they they kind of blew that possibility out. But it's so tragic seeing him like fight and like hide Robin and Chopper, and they're both crying, like trying their best to fight. It's just so reminiscent of like the old days and Robin's childhood, and like it's crushing. It's crushing. But I will never feel like he's gonna die. I will never have that sensation again because they ruined that. They killed that. So Oda took that the way around. But it seems like the whole like dynamic here between Elbaf and the Gods Knights is that like they had some sort of deal with Harold. It's so like there's some point in the chapter where they're saying, I think, is it Gunko that's saying that like whoever, like the giants are definitively going to be a big part in the final war, so whoever has them is important going into the war. Let me try to find that part. Yeah, okay. The world is already entangled in the opening salvo of the Great War. It said that the giants' allegiance will greatly shape how the conflict unfolds at this time. So yeah, like they wanted to take the kids hostage so that they can, have Elbaf under their control for the war. But don't like, how did they not realize at this point anyone that's doing it out of fear versus genuine loyalty will never be a good servant, especially people with that level of strength. And I think that's just a lesson that the world government just keeps failing. I love Colin going, "You fiend," and raising his. That's really funny. But yeah, Gunko's a problem. So Cunningham is going to announce something to. Yeah, it should announce it to the whole island. But yeah, so it seems like they must have had a deal with King Harold that, like, in the compromise that you know, the giants would be like in service of world government. Why he wanted to make peace, what the deal with that, and everything's going on. We don't know the details, and it seems like that's probably why Loki attacked him. Like I feel like we kind of figured that out already, but yeah, it says King Harold their master really messed everything up. So there was something that like they must have had a deal that King Harold reneged, or Loki stopped. But I don't know, but yeah, not much specific to say about this chapter because it was mostly just action, but I did love it. I still think it was a great bridge chapter, and it gave us some more information and details about what's really going on. And it was great to see the Straw Hats fighting in collaboration again. And the art was great, so can't really complain here. Solid chapter, but yeah, not much more to say. I think that's all my thoughts. So thanks for listening.